I first met my co-host when she had a syndicated talk show all about sex. Sex with Sue McGarvie. And I am the milkman John Mielke, host of The Milkman Show, heard on radio stations across North America. And my home base, blasttheradio.com. We're glad you're here. Let's get turned on. So you've been to Florida recently, Halifax recently, back to Ottawa. You do get around, Sue McGarvie. I thought those were rumors that would be, out there about me.
Nope. I do get around. I just been invited to Los Cabos, Mexico, and I'm thinking I can't go. I got to open the cottage. Like it's summer. I don't want to go to Mexico in the summer. Canada's paradise 3 months of the year. Yeah.
Feel free to send me as your representative. I'm fine with that.
Well, I was just in Sarasota and Tampa. I hear you're down there. We need to make a thing. I think we need a turned on the Love Shack. I found a place. It's at Paradise Lakes. It's 75 acres of nude life. So as soon as you get in, you can be naked anywhere in the 75 acres. And it was, you would have loved it. They have a Key West bar and it would just be great. I think we could have a Love Shack there. We can get a 450 square foot room that we could call it the Turned On Love Shack. I think that would be a thing.
Now, I am in Sarasota, which is a fairly conservative part of Florida. Small C conservative. We're not getting into politics, but every now and then they do a pineapple drop on New Year's Eve. So, of course, I use all the innuendo I can. If you know kind of thing. I talk about the villages, which I've learned about through this podcast and conversations with you. And it's a lot of nudge, nudge, wink, wink every now and then. So I work in the cheekiness where I can. But yes, I've got to get to Florida. But Mexico first. I would be happy to represent you.
Okay.
We got a busy show today, including 3 listener letters. We'll get to those in a little bit.
Let's absolutely love the listener letters.
Right?
Right.
Yeah, that makes our job so much easier.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We quite frankly just prefer to answer your questions because that's what we're here for. Sort of, kind of.
Okay, so we've got that.
You know what else we're here for?
What?
To introduce people to amazing new technologies like electronic douching.
I know. And douching, I'm not talking vaginal douching. Pretty much it's anal douching, right? If you think about it, douching hasn't evolved much over the years, right? There's been some improvements in design, but the act of douching, so people don't know what that is, basically water up either your snatch or your rectum. And you don't put anything else. You don't put like interesting smelling things because it makes everything smell worse. What you can do warm water, a little tiny bit of apple cider vinegar, c'est tout. That's it.
Some people may know it as an enema when it comes to the back.
Well, that, yes. The tools we use to clean our bottoms are fairly straightforward. But there's some new automation in the works. So Cal Exotic made the process of the ultimate anal douche cleaning system with electronics, right? You can charge it. I know, right? So they're on right now. I just wrote Pink Cherry. I said, you got to send us some free stuff. I said, we talk about your things because I saw it for $250. And then I saw it on Pink Cherry for $49.99.
Wow.
So yes. So you need to, if you're thinking about going that route, and honestly, if I'm going to do a little anal sex, and I know we've talked about this before, but I learned it from Nina Hartley. She only did it a couple times a month. This is not something you want morning, noon, and night because you may not have had enough fiber, if you get my drift. And she said that she, always cleaned, had a bath, and then used 3 different butt plugs, a finger size one about 2 finger size, one about 3 finger size, and then she was ready. It took her half an hour or the length of a Simpsons episode. So that's...
If you've watched backdoor action on any of the porn channels, you've probably heard the term gaping, and that's kind of what the butt plug idea is. You start with something small and the muscle relaxes around that. You build yourself up a little bit, the muscle then relaxes around that, and you gradually get larger and larger. And then anal sex is one of those things you gotta work your way into it every single time
because it doesn't naturally stretch like the vagina. It doesn't. No,
please don't do that. Please don't. Even with lube, take your time, go slow.
So there is another product out there. There's the Strawberry Squeeze Relax Repeat Kegel Training Set. So that was for the rectal part. For vaginal ones, they're the cutest things. They're all different shades of pink. And they have all these little increasing little weights that you can put in. So this is all the 50 Shades of Grey where she used the Benoit balls and the where you can actually squeeze. So we're going to practice, we're going to pretend, and we're going to squeeze everything tight. But they have these little strawberry ones with these little the things that you can pull out and put back in, pull out, put back in.
They look like strawberries.
Again, I've seen them for $150. Pink cherry, $39.99. Come on, this is your fun things you can do and you can learn with, where we're here on Tuned On the podcast.
Love it. All right, so that's electronic douching. Amazing. Okay, so next up, you want to dive into sex dreams.
Right. Sex dreams, when people have been asking me a little bit about that, and there's all this stuff about manifesting, and whether you believe in it or not, it doesn't matter. But it's when you're not getting enough, sex often will show up your dreams, and you can break it down. A story has a beginning, a middle, of an end, and you can focus on experiencing the feelings in your dreams, or just being curious about where the energy of your dreams lead you to.
Okay.
So sex dreams might be considered taboo, but there's all kinds of different ways that you can look at sex dreams and what happens with that. So I have I've been reading about, I didn't memorize them. So I have the actual, according to people, what does your sex dream suggest? So I don't know if you're having a sex dream. Do you have any like sex in the bathtub? What it may suggest is not uncommon to people feeling aroused in the shower, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be clean. Or sex with a student or teacher. Dream may indicate the person, sort of the classic narcissistic father who deprived them of sustained attention. I don't know. I think it could also mean you're hot for your teacher, right? It's there's a song about that. Oral sex. Dream could suggest you were raised with conflicting messages that oral sex was dirty, or you could just want to get shagged and please may I borrow your tongue?
That's more likely. Yeah,
for you. Right.
What's happening
and in keeping with you, dreams that involve BDSM, what it may suggest, right? Bondage, discipline, sadism, masochism. It may be that you had an overbearing mother or father, or you were tantalized by the idea of being tied up, or understand that there's nothing strange or perverted about this, and you may want to try it.
Now, my dreams about that are not because I crave it. My dreams about that are because I made that happen. Okay, just for the record.
Just saying.
But no, I think my interest in that comes from, and I said this just the other day, as a matter of fact, Boy Scout camp. Somebody sneaks a Playboy or a Penthouse or a Hustler magazine, and everybody's like, "Oh, boobies, ha 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 ha, giggle giggle." I always loved the back pages where you had like the 1-900 numbers and whatnot for these strong, powerful, dominant women dressed up in leather and high heels, and there was just something very exciting about that I had never seen anywhere else, and I think that's really what sort of drew me into that.
Yeah. And there's usually a cause and effect. So, or you can have sex with it. If you're dreaming about sex with an acquaintance or a stranger, it may be that your libido is too high and you're not getting your needs met.
Sure.
I don't know if you're having, sex with that. A recurring sex dream about an ex, that never happens to me. Yeah. How long you've been split, all that stuff. Nah. Do you have dreams about an ex?
Oh, there's one ex in particular. Yeah.
Right. Wait, let's hope your wife isn't listening to this, because that's never, yeah. Yeah, the sex dreams involving
Sue, my wife is well aware of who she's married to.
I know.
Right.
I know. So you could have, involve dirty talk, that you have a buttoned up person who wants to let go. And I think you should work on dirty talk. I've got this new book on sexting that I'm reading for a speech I have to do, because I have to practice, my sexting talk. And we can work on that for next week if you have any sexting skills.
The book on sexting talk, is it all like abbreviations, like LOLs?
LOLs, yeah.
Emojis.
We just get emojis of eggplants, right? I don't know. So if you're having sex dreams, A, don't worry about it. B, you're normal. And C, you may want to, sit down and think about where it's coming from and what do you want to do to feed those needs. And, it's okay. Okay.
And if you'd like our opinion on where that may be coming from, by all means, weigh in. The email address, Sue, is
sue@sexwithsue.com. Please send them.
Speaking of, we mentioned we had a few listener letters for this week's show. Let's do right here, right now. Where do you want to begin? Which one?
Well, I had a good one. So, dear Sue, I was having sex with a hookup, doggy style, and I pulled out. There was a plastic ring around my penis. It was her birth control ring. Can you please explain what that is? He was
my goodness. Okay.
I thought that was great. So the Nuva ring, is a flexible ring. Where is hold on. For those of you who are watching this, reaching out, I have the female condom happen to be sitting on my table, but here.
Of
So
course.
think of it as, it looks like, I'm going to pull out the inside ring too. It looks like this. See it? And that's exactly
Okay, so
what
it looks like a same shape as like a hair elastic. It's a harder plastic.
hair elastic, a little harder, but
like a cock ring.
but it's bendable. So it's very thin and it's full of hormones right in here. And so they found if you localize the hormone right under your ovaries versus all over body one, which is the birth control pill, you are more like have less side effects, and it's still as effective in keeping your ovaries from producing an egg, thus keeping you from getting knocked out.
Wow. See, I just thought that was a plastic ring designed strictly to keep that in place. I had no idea that it was loaded with hormones.
This one on the female condom is benign. It doesn't have any hormones in it. But the Nuva ring, what this guy was talking about, is loaded with hormones, because all she didn't have a female condom. All she had is put this ring in. So when you make a vagina, and here I am, if you're watching us on YouTube, you can see it. And then it pops in behind the pubic bone. And it does that, and then you don't feel it, just like when you put in a tampon, you don't feel it after it's in. And except that if you're banging away and it comes out on your penis, that happens. So she needs to put it back in order to prevent ovulation, but it's not going to, if it's out for, 15 minutes to an hour, it's going to be fine. She's still not going to get pregnant. Put it back in though. That is a Nuva ring. You change them. It happens because they start to get gunky and you change them, but that happens. It's part of a birth. It's one of the many birth control methods. So
I just hope that when this happened, y'all had a good laugh. That's cute. Right. Autoerotica, which has nothing to do with cars.
No, it has nothing to do with cars. Autoerotica. So doing a whole lot more. I have the Pervy Book Club. And if you want to become a member of the Pervy Book Club, it's free and you get free books by email. So all you have to do is send me an email, sue@sexwithsue.com, and I will include you in the Pervy Book Club. I'm now actually doing a Pervy Book Club, the newsletter. It's so much fun. So the first Sunday of the month, we do a Zoom call and it's hilarious, but it's this idea that erotica is now a thing. So audio erotica, and you being an audiophile will get this because you you get turned on by what you hear and what you imagine. So for a lot of people, they grew up thinking, if you've only watched porn, you think that a woman's body, it's just commodities, right? It's a body's for consumption, but they've got a whole lot of new erotic companies that are doing leading makers of pornography for your ears, adult content offering an audio alternative. So it's different from Pornhub, but it's apps like Femsy, Quinn, Dyspsia. I said that wrong. DIPSEA become big business in the adult industry because they're hundreds of thousands of committed users, and they've got female creators. And for women, it's about turned on by what we hear and what we imagine. So there's all this new hot audio erotica. I'm going to write these guys and say, send us some stuff that we can actually use. So maybe we'll have a audio erotic portion of Turned On, and you're going to really not want to miss our podcast.
Well, there's a lot of this going on in Reddit. People are doing a lot of writing on Reddit. And then what I'm finding is a lot of people who voice these sex stories. That's where they're getting it from, is Reddit, and they turn it into audio. Here's a question for you, Sue. What's your opinion on this? Like, if you've got Pornhub on your phone or whatever else, and you're watching video content and pornography, while you're masturbating, etc., you got to hold the device in your hand. And I don't know how many times this has happened. It falls out of my hand and hits me in the face, and whatever.
Yeah, there's that. I certainly
the audio erotica. You put the earbuds in, and your hands are free to explore, and there's no risk of damage.
Dropping your phone on your forehead and giving yourself a black eye.
Yeah. You understand?
I do understand. I read literotica. That's my spank bank. I don't watch porn. I think it's increasingly violent. It never is exactly what's in my head, but if I read it, it's exactly what's in my head. Okay. And I can picture what works for me. So same thing with audio erotica. And it's a much bigger thing than people know. And if you haven't tried it, it's actually better for you. For guys who are visual, it may not be the way that they want to do it, but they have proven that porn, even a little bit, at least changes your sexuality. I'm not going to pass judgment whether that's good or bad. What I am saying is the research says unequivocally that it will change your sexuality. So maybe you want to try some new mediums, including some of this audio erotica. And since I wrote Pink Cherry this week and said, hey, we're talking about you, why can't you send us free shit so we can give it away to listeners? I'm going to ask the audio erotica people to give us some free logins so we can give it away to listeners. So make sure you're participating. Send me notes. There's a pretty good chance you're going to get free shit if you do. Sue@sexwithsue.com.
All right, let's tackle another email right here. You want to do the one about penis size?
Sure.
Go ahead and read it. I'd like to read it too, by the way. So if you go ahead and read it, we can obviously both address it, but I'd like to comment on this guy to guy.
You would like to comment on this? Okay, we got a question. Yeah, it's very good. So the idea was, I'm trying to read it. It's basically, it says penis size. Sue, I'm concerned about my penis size. How big is enough? Is it a thing that women are concerned about? And I get that question, honestly, all day long. It is, my 3 questions. I get to talk about libido. How do I improve my sex drive? I get to talk about, different, are there new ways to climax and orgasms, and, orgasms are a thing, and penis size. Oh my God, penis size. So
I can tell you, what are we at, like 26, 27 episodes in? The number of times already that this has come up as a topic of conversation on this podcast, it really is a thing. It
really is a thing. And
you know what, guys, here's where I want to weigh in. Guys, you are falling victim to, listen, it's what you see on porn, because guess what? The thin, chiseled body, the long, erect penis, the big boobies, all of this over-exaggerated stuff, for whatever reason, is visually more impactful. But it creates for us men this idea that if we are not, 10 feet long down there, if we're not a human tripod, then, we just don't have enough. And this goes back to our days in high school and changing in the locker room and this fear of, I'm not as big as that guy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Look, I'm here to tell you, okay, guy to guy, average is average for a reason. I'm an average guy when it comes to size. And as Sue has described, I don't know how many times on this podcast, when you're too long, it actually hurts a lot of women. The place that you want to stimulate inside the vagina is actually better stimulated when you are an average length. If you're too long, you're past it. And I can promise you this. We talked about someone that, an ex that I still have dreams about. She dubbed mine the Commander because it made her come like crazy. Average size. You need to understand this, guys. Women think about your penis size about as often as you think about the size of her labia. It's just not something she thinks.
It's not relevant. No. So, and in fairness, there are about 20% of women or gay men that's what they want. They have
there's some, but
they have a cave in there. Yeah. It's an 80-20. And if you've run into somebody who's been mean about it, that's not fair. And I'm sorry. And you may have run into somebody who thinks that's the thing because they've been programmed too. But literally 80% of women, again, could care less. They're like, I don't even think about it. But there are, so you want to make sure that what you have is great for you. So I always say, do the tricks, make sure you're well shaven because, the fence looks higher when the shrubs are groomed.
It also feels better.
It also feels better. So it's just one of those things. Make sure you're well groomed and nobody wants a 6-inch pube out of the back of their throat. So just make sure you're manscaped. It's a thing.
Stop beating yourself up. Okay. Less is more. And when I say less than you think is actually more.
Yeah. So take it off, groom, make sure you understand that there is a difference between growers and showers. And we talked about this recently, that it's all about your erections, and 4 inches, when they did the big study, 4 inches was average. So if you're erect bigger than 4 inches, you're above average. So measure it from right at the base to right at the tip. If you're bigger than 4 inches, if you are smaller than 3, you have a reason to bitch. Other than that, shut up about it.
Right. Uh-huh. You just brought something up that I've always been curious about this, and I've asked the question. I don't think of you, but I've certainly asked the question before. When measuring, do you measure from the top side or do you measure from the bottom side?
Well, I would tell you to measure from the, depends on, because a lot of people have, again, extra skin at the bottom.
Yeah.
Most people will measure along the top, but I don't care. If it's less than 3 inches, you have something to complain about, and we can talk about enhancing things and why pumps work and what you can do about it. If you are 4 inches or 4¼ inches, you're in that average space. If you are more than that, you are above average. And even though, and I can tell you till I'm blue in the face that it doesn't matter, but you still may be uncomfortable with it. And then you may want to call me, send me a note, and we can do a one-off session. And between the hypnosis and we can do some really clear discussions around what is accurate. You can send me a picture. You know what I did? I had somebody who had such
Wait, did you just encourage dick pics?
just to me as a therapist with no other identifying markers, because what I did is I have a sort of a collective of lunch friends of other people in the industry. Let's just leave it at that.
Okay.
And what I did was I had a guy who had such bad body dysmorphic. He just was so worried about what his penis looked like. I passed the anonymous picture around the table with his permission, and got a bunch of women to post below what they thought of it. And somebody's like, yum, I would like that one. And somebody was like, oh, I have a friend who's looks exactly like that. Nice circumcision, buddy. Like legitimate comments from women who could not care anything, didn't know who he was. And that was what finally turned the corner for him.
So I love where this is going, as awkward as that actually sounds and as funny as it actually sounds, because there's a couple of people I follow on OnlyFans. Of course, I'm only reading.
For research for the show, right?
You understand, right? See, you and me, Sue, we get it. But there's this constant barrage of messages from people on platforms like OnlyFans. For $49.99, I will rate your penis. Well, I mean, come on.
That's interesting.
Well, that just exacerbates the problem, doesn't it? Right?
Well, that's interesting. I think that's an interesting promotional idea. I didn't know that they did that, but for some people, that's what you.
Well, it's a kinky, and I think it's born of the kink, and a lot of guys like to be humiliated, and
right.
There are some who with small penises like to be made fun of because of their small penis, and it that's a whole other conversation, of course. But I would rather have everyday women who are not in this because they want $49.99 from me to actually reaffirm that the commander is just fine. Thank you.
Absolutely. But if for $50, if it will stop the hamster wheel in your head and you will finally get, an idea, as I said, I have a circle and they'll look at it and say, yep, it's fine. Or nope, here's what I do. Then get an honest opinion and you can either move on or you can do something that actually works.
I'm not convinced that anybody on an OnlyFans site or something like that is actually going to give me the honest truth, but okay.
That's fair. But you can send them to me, sue@sexwithsue.com. Come on. We'll take, if it's anonymous, get an anonymous email. I don't want your full name. I want, guyabouttown@gmail.com. Send it to me. And then there is no way, because as a therapist, I need to maintain your anonymity. So let's do it in a safe way.
Now I need a new Gmail, because commander@gmail.com is going to give me away if I send you one.
You weirdo.
All right, I am blown away by this stat. Only 36% of people feel that their relationship is awesome.
Actually, it's sort of more, it was more about their relationship is awesome, but it also included their sex life. Okay. So do you think your sex life is excellent? 36% said yes. The rest of us said it's good. Okay. Or it's mediocre. Or it's kind of meh, or it's absolutely in the toilet. So I think that we, again, it's our public service. This is me. I am, I keep bees. That's my, thing, the planet. I try to recycle. I've committed to not getting any more water bottles, after the water bottles I've already bought and have gone away. And right. We're trying to be more pragmatic and save the planet. My way of saving the planet is to make sure everybody has fantastic sex. And now you're a part of this. So that's your, let's save the planet. And we're doing that by saying, what can you do today to make sure you have hot, amazing, wild, crazy sex and take your sex life from meh to excellent?
Okay. How?
So Well, besides our, our new strawberry squeeze, relax, Kegel things,
And our new dick pic rating system.
and our new dick pic rating system.
Can't forget about that.
What they found in this study was that if you're again, it has to be with your relationship. If you have time for intimacy, this is eye gazing, gentle touch, connection. Those people rank both their romance lives and their sex lives as higher. And if they did something new every month. So we have been preaching to the choir. We are way ahead of the curve. The stats back us up. So what are you doing this month to make things better? So in keeping with that, we're going to take all of the podcasts, because you may have been traveling and missed it. We're going to take here's the top 10 best toys. Here's the top 10 best new ideas. Here's some crazy things you can try. And let's see if we can give you a list of fun new things, and you just need to pick one. Just pick one. Or, what I told people, what I used to do is get the joy of sex and have them close their eyes and flip the pages and point their finger at it and said, let's try this today. Do something that's going to be different.
All right. On to the next question.
Last but not least,
okay.
No. Well, we've had some interesting stuff going on, right? We've got some stuff, but one of the things we had was about, you mentioned it about the OnlyFans, and people were trying to figure out how to, spice that up. How do you enhance, how do you do that? If you're thinking, I want enough money that I can, pay down my student loan, or I want enough money that I can, make my mortgage payment. Or in the case of the woman I'm about to interview, it was, I am broke. I have 2 kids. My ex-husband kind of kicked me out with no money, and I have 2 kids to feed. What do? I'm going to sell pictures of my cooch. And she's got a great TikTok where she uses every kind of word for it that you could possibly imagine. And it's hilarious. Her name is Redhead Jade.
I know her.
She's beautiful. She's in Nova Scotia. So I wrote her last week.
Is she really?
She's in Nova Scotia. She's Canadian. And
she's one of those people that if you're on TikTok, she just pops up in your feed all the time, whether you're following her or not. She's one of the top content producers on TikTok. How she skirts around, because I put a comedian on my TikTok the other day, and he used the F word, and TikTok booted it.
I know. I did
managed just to pop up in my feed. She's fantastic.
She's fantastic. I did a room crawl in Secrets, and it was completely PG. Nobody was in it, but I got banned on it. The actual video got deleted. But so she's awesome. So I'm going to interview her about her story, about how she does this. And she's got this new platform called Lemon Social, but she started an OnlyFans selling pictures of her cooch, which then allowed her to buy a house. Anyway, she's in Nova Scotia. So I called her and said, hey, I'm in She's apparently hours from Halifax, so that's fine. She couldn't meet me, but we're gonna talk by video, so you get to hear how you do this, because there has been so much interest.
Sure.
In people saying, I want to be an authentic sex provider, but I don't want to be a porn star, and I don't want to be a sex worker. What do I do? Here's this.
I have so many questions for her. So could you please just? I'll send you a couple to remind you, but I'm dying to know. First off, how does a straight guy leverage the internet to make money? Because women typically don't have to spend money to consume anything sex other than reading audiobooks. What can I and my other straight male friends be doing? And the other thing I'm dying to know is, how is she skirting around things like whatever algorithms on TikTok shut the simplest, most innocuous things down? How is she doing this? What is the?
I know she's pretty magic. So we're gonna find out from the horse's mouth, or in this case, the redheaded Jade's mouth, about how she does that, and why, if you are interested in being an OnlyFans service provider, what do you need to do from a real woman who's got kids in a small place in rural Canada, and she's made it big. So if she can do it, you can do it. Now, I don't look like her. I think she's gorgeous, and she's got that skin and, all that stuff. And if I had the body, I know I would have been stripping in university to pay my student loan, because when I got out, it was more than my mortgage payment. But it was, but if you can do it and pay for it, all the power to you, sweetie.
But you know what? And yes, absolutely. Good on her. Good on anybody doing that. But you know what? The fact she happens to be drop dead gorgeous, etc., that's great. But it's all in the attitude. And I don't care who you are. If you've got a great, fun, open-minded attitude and you're not afraid of this, I find that very compelling.
There you go.
100%.
And there it is. Milky has said he finds it hot if you can take it off. There you go.
Absolutely. Not even take it off. Just if you can just excite. You just
plot. Yeah, a little flotting.
All right, let's get to our final email. This person says they've been watching our videos. They're, on TikTok and YouTube, etc. What's the best kind of natural herb to help with erectile dysfunction is the question. This person says they're taking some over-the-counter stuff from the doctor. Doesn't seem to have any impact at all. So recommendations.
That's true. I you know what? And I have been talking about, the over-the-counter stuff versus the medication. And I think if you're not getting enough impact with Cialis, Viagra, Levitra, you are not on enough. So, the Canadian doctors will give you 50 milligrams. All of the people, you can buy it off the street in Mexico and any pharmacy in Thailand. You don't even have to go to the pharmacy. You can get it at the gas station. Minimum dose, 100 milligrams. It's like taking a baby aspirin in terms of the reaction on your body. Like people are worried, oh my God, it's going to be bad. And no, it increases the nitric oxide blood flow. I'm not seeing anything in the literature that's suggesting it's bad. So my dad came back from Thailand where he bought on the golf course. And my father is 83. And he bought on the golf course the black ant. I have the pox. It's really interesting. Anyway, little green pills. It's 3,500 milligrams. And I'm like, oh my God, Dad, don't take that. Don't take that.
I have so many questions.
I know, right? Just, and then you can have an erection and then you have to go and get it done. Like, don't overdose on it.
There are people on golf courses in Mexico walking up to people selling this stuff.
Oh yeah. Or at the golf club. I don't know.
Wow.
I know. But I would say that you're not taking enough. I think 50 milligrams is a good amount, or even 100 milligrams. I have not read anything about any ill effects. There may not be a physician that'll prescribe you 100 milligrams, but I wouldn't go over that. But that window has been shown across the board to be fine. Don't be taking, 10 times the amount, and then you're left with a permanent erection and you have to go to the emergency and get, get some blood drained out of it.
By and large, we're talking prescription stuff. The question, though, just, I want to make sure we address this, regards natural herbs. Are there natural herbs out there that you would recommend?
The one I would recommend is nitric oxide, which is what your body does to increase blood flow. So there are lots of them. And honestly, I can't keep up with herbs, and again.
I see what you did there. I can't keep up.
But you can't. They're all different kinds. They're all different versions. There's so many that you can't decide what works and what doesn't. And is it a supplement? And nitric oxide is what your body produces to maintain erections, but you can buy it over the counter. That is what I would suggest. So I wrote this guy back and said, that's what I suggest, and have a look. And there's different ones that you can get samples of and give it a try. But if you're not getting natural erections, figure out why. Maybe that your blood sugar is too high. Maybe your cholesterol medication, maybe your high blood pressure medication. Figure it out and do something about it.
We will wrap things up for another week with the interview we mentioned moments ago. Sue invited me to be part of it with the one and only Redhead Jade. Sue McGarvie and I back about a week from now with another edition of Turned On the podcast. So enjoy the interview with Redhead Jade. Sue, I would be remiss if I didn't do this. Thank you.
Have an awesome week. I've been a sex therapist for a long time. I was a syndicated radio show across the country. I was in CFRB, which is the biggest talk station in the country in Toronto. He was on, I've known him for 30 years. It's all good, all above board. So he's got a radio show, and I don't, that runs on the internet, but it's big, called Blast the Radio. And then our Turned On the podcast, like we're in the top 50 in Australia. Go figure. I don't know how, but so it's good. And then, I'm like you, my 14-year-old niece told me, Auntie Sue, you should be on TikTok. I'm like, what is that? So you should record this. That would be me.
I am recording this. You record the video. That's your job.
I recorded
Come on, Sue.
All right, shit. Just a
Hang
second.
on, Sue. Hang on.
You are stop. Yeah, mute participants. What am I doing here?
Doesn't everybody keep a riding crop in their studio? Or is it
Why
just
am
me?
I having trouble? Record to the cloud. There it is. Oh, I can't do that. Okay. Record on this computer.
Recording in progress.
So what we were fascinated by, because I had like 450,000. I'm thinking, oh my God, this is the new thing. Except that I didn't know you couldn't say sex, and I didn't know you couldn't say, penetrative sex or intercourse, all that stuff that you cannot say on TikTok. And then I got banned. And so I'm down to a mere, 65,000 now, but you have managed to say all kinds of crazy things. My favorite video of yours was where you used every word. I still giggle about it. Every word to describe muff diving and every word you ever used without using it. It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, that was just a little bit of inspiration that hit. And I was like, because I kept having that problem too. I get all the time flagged and stuff. And I'm like, I don't want to get permanently banned. So I'm like, what is the creative way around this? And so I went completely vulgar with it.
It was a brilliant episode. Absolutely brilliant. So we had a bunch of questions for people. And what happened was it came up as a question for me. I said, I have sexwithsue.com, and I get, as a clinical sex therapist, I get a lot of questions. And somebody was saying, Sue, I'm kind of thinking about going into the industry. What do I do? And I sent them to your TikTok. And I thought, screw it. I should ask her, go to the horse's mouth and find out what you do if you want to become, as you call it, a spicy content creator. So can you just, for the audience, just do a quick story about how you did it? And you were, you had your 2 kids and you decided I needed to make some money in a hurry?
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, I had a small social media following. I've been a professional photographer for 10 years. So I had about 2,500 people on my Instagram. So I immediately went I kind of weighed the pros and cons, and I live in a small community, and I thought I could do this secretly and try to hide it and risk being exposed. Or I could do this just out and loud and proud and capitalize on the fact that I do have a small following right now. So when I decided to launch into it, luckily, my sister had already been into it. So she had some pretty solid advice about just the way that when you go into it loud and proud, it protects you in a way. Mm-hmm. Trying to hide it really leaves you vulnerable. So that's what I decided I was going to do. And I went in head first, I guess. There was a lot to learn, but I took about 4 to 6 months to plan ahead of time. I created as much content as I could and got it all scheduled and everything to go out. And then when I started reeling in subscribers, I could kind of just step back and breathe for a bit.
Right.
So lots to learn about it, but I think when you're at that beginning stage, one of the most important things is just kind of really assessing your situation and how vulnerable you're going to be if you do this. There's a lot of people who turn to this because they need money. They're in custody battles and that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of things to consider. My best advice for it is just don't rush the decision and really think about it from all angles and then focus on trying to love your body because that's the next big hurdle that you hit once you start is, you get bombarded with images of just incredible bodies and, it doesn't make you feel that good about your body sometimes.
Oh, sweetie. I always say you got the body I wish I had. So I'm so, I think that's a lovely way to do that. But you were a professional photographer, so you had the lighting down. So if you're going to do a photo of your snatch, it was gracious. It's soft lit. It doesn't look like neon. Yeah.
I literally have some of those images that are soft lighting and everything. Yeah. So
I got a question as a fellow photographer. What is the correct f-stop for a proper photo of that?
Well, you should know this. It depends on the vibe that you're going for, but I like that soft look. So
do you like a deep? Okay, let me rephrase my question. Do you like a deep depth of field or shallow depth of field?
Very shallow, just the tip.
All right, just the tip. Okay, all right, thank you. Professional question to a professional photographer. That's
yeah, that's good. Okay, so you do that, and you have this new platform that you said OnlyFans was taking a ton of your money, and you decided to go to this new one called Lemon Social is what it's called, right?
Yeah, the craziest thing. I mean, this was a fated thing that walked into my life. I started after I successfully launched into the OnlyFans life and everything. I mean, it was a big, scary decision for me. So my main goal was like, okay, I'm going to do this so that I understand how to do it. And then I'm going to help other people. I'm going to coach them on how to do it. So that was kind of my goal right from the beginning, was to get into coaching. So once I did that, I created the e-course and everything. It had been launched for about 2 weeks, and I got a message on Instagram from a man named James Baune, Baune. And immediately I was like, this is a scam. This is like, there's nobody named James Baune.
Right.
Right.
But I opened the message and it said the first line was, "This is not a scam. I want to talk to you. Can we connect over phone?" and everything. And within 24 hours, I was on the phone with him, and he was telling me about how he, saw the issues with OnlyFans. He saw the way that OnlyFans just doesn't seem to care about their creators. And he has, a lot of experience building large companies and everything. And that was what he was going for, was he wanted to build an OnlyFans competitor that really empowered creators and put them in a place to earn more and everything. So I gave it some time and some thought because I wasn't really sure, but within a week I was like, no, this feels right. Like, this is the right thing because this is my purpose too. So we've, right from last October, I mean, I've made so many connections and friends and everything in this industry. And we've just been building this platform from the ground up by trying to listen to creators and everything. I feel like we got the next big thing. We just did a soft launch. We've got about 7,000 people on the platform so far, and we're just kind of exploring and learning and figuring out what we can do to make it even better. But it's been quite the opportunity. It's been a fun time.
So can I just ask for clarification then? You are part of launching Lemon Social?
Yeah, he gave me
Wow.
a working partnership. Yeah,
Cool.
it's been yeah. So
Atta girl. Yes.
yeah, it's been incredible, and it's just all came from that big risky decision to do something I was terrified to do.
Yeah. Don't get mad, get stalks. Atta girl.
Because it was Sue McGarvie that actually introduced me to Lemon Social. Sue sent me a link to that some weeks ago, and then I'm quite certain that it was Redhead Jade on TikTok that was referencing it, and I went, well, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah. There you
would
go.
come up.
Small
Okay.
circle.
I get it. I get it now.
Because he asked me, he's got an OnlyFans page because you're on Twitch, right? So he was saying, how do a straight guy get views? I know, with the dad bod on OnlyFans.
Well, not just
And
a
I'm
dad bod, but I mean straight men who look. I know that gay men, will pay for content, obviously. But if you're a straight guy, are women out there consuming this in the same way that men are consuming an OnlyFans, etc.? There really isn't an opportunity for a straight guy to be on there doing this.
I will say women really like audio porn. And
What did I say earlier on our podcast, Sue McGarvie?
Yes, we just talked about that. Yeah.
I need to just spend the rest of my life, Jay, talking like this.
Yeah.
That's what
breathing
I need
deeply,
to
baby.
do.
I think there's more of a market for that, honestly, in the OnlyFans world. I'm curious. I don't know anybody who's tapped into that, but if you obviously have voice acting experience or whatever, if you can get into that and tell a good story, you got it made.
All right.
There you go. There you go. There's your tip of the day, because we were just talking about audio erotica on the podcast. So because we said it had a lot of people. So it's obviously topical, because as I get emails, they're relevant because it's what, I always say that if you get one letter, it represents 1,000 people with that question.
Of course.
So that is interesting. So you have some advice for people if they wanted, you have a coaching process, right? So they want to get coached. They can get coached by you personally. You have an e-program. Do you do one-on-one? How does that work for people if they really want to?
Yep. So the e-course is basically just kind of like everything you need to know in one place. And it's not OnlyFans specific. It's kind of like, this is how you build a social media following. This is how you market yourself. And there's a lot of photography information in there and to help people create content and all that. But some people need a little bit more hand holding. They want to be walked through it a little bit more. So I do offer one-on-one coaching as well. And then on Lemon Social, I'm the lead coach. So I'm constantly putting out free content for our creators to help empower them to earn more and everything. So there's a lot of different options available.
So people could start on Lemon Social, just put up a little profile and follow your stuff and do a little bit as they feel comfortable. But it's interesting you say that about owning it. My friends at Swing Nation, they did that. She did her first, she was on TikTok and they were just trying to promote her OnlyFans page because her husband did a Google about how do you promote it. And he said, go on TikTok. So they did it without their heads, but she's got a really distinctive accent.
Yes, she does.
And they got like 2 million views on their first video, and her aunt calls her and says, are you on TikTok? So it's like, okay. So nothing like being outed. And, she says she goes to the baseball game with her son and, they got the other mothers with the eyebrows up, and she's just like, whatever, right? You've either got to own it and just go, it's going to be okay. And realize there are other people that think you're cool and are really smart, strong women doing what they need to do, paying for your kids, making a life, and hats off to you. Yeah.
Thank you. And once you're in this life too, you kind of end up in a little bit of an echo chamber because you're surrounded by other people in this life. So like the people who don't get it aren't as loud anymore. It's a little bit nice to have that the cushion of just understanding people.
That's a lovely thing to say. Yeah, we're great. So people need to reach you. How do they do that?
So I'm just at redhead.jade on TikTok. So you can find me easily there. Lots of content on there. You can find me on Lemon Social. I'm Redhead Jade Coaching. I'm on Instagram as the Redhead Jade because my Instagram has been shut down a bunch of times, unfortunately. So can't keep with the same name. But
and there's a link. There's a link there that people can book your coaching.
Yes. Yep. So there's that. And I guess if I'm Redhead Jade on OnlyFans too.
Perfect. All right. Well, if people are, because I think the women that that I'm talking to, at least the ones that I got the emails from, are like, I think I want to try this. Sue, what do I do? And I'm like, okay, go to the expert. That's not me. So I'm really excited for you. I hope the whole thing launches. I think I need to get Smiley over here doing autoerotica, and we need to do a turned on only Lemon Social new profile, sweetie. So that'll be good.
I would just like to say thank you very much. Yet another beautiful woman in my world advising me that I need to be heard and not seen.
Yes.
Thanks, Jade.
Yeah, great fits for radio, babe. All right, Jade, thank you so much for joining us. And you're great. We wish you all the best, okay?
Yes. Hey, if you got a question for Sue, you got comments on the podcast, we're on Google, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on iHeart, we're on Amazon Music. Ask your smart speaker to play Turned On the podcast. We'd love to hear from you. What's the email address, Sue?
Sue@sexwithsue.com.
Forward to another conversation a week from now.